OpenAI search is benchmarking better than Gemini or Perplexity in terms of relevance.
We look at ChatGPT as human in some sense, but Google is just a huge corporate entity. Already you can see that there's so much potential there. Really tells you something about why Google can't sit still over the next 5 years. So it's more like creepy when it knows us. If there are MBA courses in 5-10 years, this will be the classic example of innovator's dilemma.
Hey everyone, and welcome to this new episode of Co-Creating with AI. This is our journey exploring and understanding the fast-moving world of AI. And I'm Martin. With me, as always, is Rasmus. How are you today, Rasmus?
Good, thanks. It's like intense times. We're doing a bunch of things in parallel, scaling with customers and launching, finishing the launch of our new Multiply 3.0 and lots of investor meetings, etc. So I feel like I have two jobs right now, but sometimes that's the case. But it's fun. Like I'm enjoying it. I'm happy that we can carve out time for this every week, almost
Yes,
every week at least. And I
awesome.
have a new mic. I have a new mic. I have a new camera. Finally, I got my what do you call it, ass out of my seat to do it. So hopefully, I won't get complaints on my sound quality as much.
Yeah,
Let's see. How are
I
you?
know. I'm really good. I'm at Kindship. We're working on encapsulating capabilities for the AI into sort of a structured system so that basically the goal is to allow any open source project to be downloaded and or forked as a capability into Kindship. Um, and it's a really fun exploration. And there's so many repositories out there. It's open source AI is really eating the world of software as much as proprietary AI software. So it's really good to be able to leverage that, and that's a fun exploration. And what are we going to talk about today?
I mean, I think it's in our pre-chat, right? I think it's
Hmm.
interesting to just look at the landscape a little bit. And I mean, I guess one way to frame it is what's valuable now, like
Hmm.
long term in the AI era. I think a lot
Yeah.
of people are struggling with that, from investors, from startups, from existing corporates. Like what has value, like what goes away, what is
Mm.
commoditized, and who wins in the AI era. I
Who's
guess
going
is
to
another
capture that
frame.
value into their revenue streams,
Yeah, exactly.
basically?
Which
Yeah.
revenue streams will
Yeah.
be here in a
Yeah.
meaningful way, or
Yeah.
at least revenue streams with margin. So I
Hmm.
think that's interesting. And you had some reflections on OpenAI's recent, I guess, launch of Search GPT more meaningfully
Yeah.
across their like desktop apps and Chrome extensions, etc. So do you want to just do you want to dive into that a bit and what you're thinking?
Yeah, so OpenAI search is benchmarking better than Gemini or Perplexity in terms of relevance. Perplexity Pro is also very high up in the benchmarks, but it's remarkable that OpenAI is able to capture part of the search market the way they have. And I just saw my girlfriend this morning. She's a goldsmith. She was on the couch asking ChatGPT like who are my competitors, not googling them, like and like what would she write, like ChatGPT already knows everything about her business because she consults a lot with about strategy with ChatGPT. So she can just write, can you find some of my competitors, and ChatGPT already knows what to search for, like goldsmiths in Sweden focusing on handsmithed jewelry or something like that, because those were the results that came up. And Google doesn't know anything about her, and I guess it would freak people out if Google knew too much, because there's some kind of dissonance in how we actually accept these companies collect data. We get so much more value out of ChatGPT, so subconsciously we allow the transaction to happen where we also give it a lot more info.
Yeah, I think it's interesting just that point. I wonder if part of it is, and now I'm going to have to use the word which I can't use, anthropomorphize. What do you call it? I need to learn to say that.
Yeah.
Anyhow, we look at ChatGPT as human in some sense, and therefore we're more I think, accepting of it knowing us, knowing things
Yeah.
about it. But Google is just a corporate, huge corporate entity, so it's more like creepy when it knows us. So
Mm.
I think there's something in that there's the conversational interface with ChatGPT, especially over voice. It's even more clear. That means that we're more accepting of these types of products, knowing us.
Mm.
And I really think that, I mean, memory in its current form in ChatGPT is relatively limited, but already you can see that there's so much potential there. In that, I think that's a great example that she goes there instead of Google. Really tells you something about why Google can't sit still over the next 5 years
Yeah.
in their product.
Yeah. And Google really missed the mark. Like they came up, their researchers came up with the transformer architecture from the start, like 5 years before OpenAI even made a try at using it. And then they had the biggest data set, and they had huge search traffic. They could just slap an AI on that 5 years ago, and completely dominate the market by now.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, if there are MBA courses in 5-10 years, this will be the classic example of innovator's dilemma that they
Yes.
will do. Which, for those who
Yeah.
don't know it, is basically that whoever is dominant already in the market,
Mm.
they can't, like, they very seldomly disrupt themselves because they're making money
Yeah.
on, in this case Google are making money on search. So are they really going to package that as a chatbot without external pressure? Probably not. And even
Mm.
now, I mean, their business is growing. I mean, it's especially GCP, like a Google Cloud, and YouTube, but still their business is growing.
Mm.
So are they really going to disrupt search themselves even now? I mean, hopefully. Or but it's really interesting to just see that play out, that dynamic. And they're
Mm.
getting assaulted from everyone: Perplexity, ChatGPT. I bet Claude's going to move in there,
Yes.
and Anthropic. Mm, and what else? What else do you see, like, out there in the market? So I think search is really interesting, and I think, I mean, at least my conclusion is that the experience is better with AI powered search. So there's no reason to assume that any kind of normal classic search will be around in a
Mm.
meaningful way. And I mean, it will be around probably, but that it will be significantly smaller share of the
Yeah.
market.
Well,
Um,
another thing that has happened in a subtle way, which is the other side of search, which is that when you nowadays when you share OpenAI or ChatGPT conversations with someone, you click share, you get a link to post somewhere. You also get a tiny button say make this conversation searchable in search engines, and so that means that someone else can. It means that it's published on the open web,
wow, I didn't
indexable by
know that.
Google, and uh, and so they are also doing the same as Perplexity, which has had also launched a couple of months ago. Perplexity Space, it's allowing you to take any results page and publish onto your profile, and so they're like OpenAI is also defending against Perplexity there to build a long tail content to be gobbled up by all the search engines of the world, and to make sure that OpenAI is also sort of doing user created content, search engine optimized for capturing traffic from the open web.
I mean, I think that's amazing. I didn't know that, but it makes a lot of sense. And really, I think, um, strengthens the case that the real Web3 is AI.
Hmm.
And what's so interesting there is the fact that I, as a user, choose to publish my conversation with ChatGPT,
Mm.
means that I thought it was valuable.
Yeah.
So, and and of course, I'm pretty sure that in Search GPT, they will, definitely have very quick access to that data. So, everything that's published publicly
Mm.
from ChatGPT, from this new Web 3.0, will be prioritized in some form or another
Mm.
as modern, valuable content for people to
Mm.
take part of. So I wouldn't be surprised within a year if half of the search results, or 3 years maybe, that you get in ChatGPT are actually linking to other
Conversation
ChatGPT
early.
pages,
Yeah.
conversations,
Yeah.
or pages. They're probably going to evolve that UX,
Mm.
and that means that you stick within their bubble. If you start looking
Yeah.
at ChatGPT as a browser, right, or as an OS, and I'm sure they're going to go there
Mm.
in different ways. They've talked about the phone, they talked about different things. Then you stay, or just a browser. Let's make it
Mm.
simple, right? Then you're staying in the browser,
Mm.
navigating. You're not navigating away, which I think I mean, I haven't thought about it before, but seems like
Mm.
there's some quite significant disruption to, I mean, search from that angle as well. Just that the content is generated from within the new search experience, whereas in the previous search experience, the curation, so finding content and creation of content, were completely separate. Does that make sense? I
Yeah,
think it makes
definitely.
sense.
Yeah.
It sounds
Yeah.
smart. I don't know, but
No, but and Perplexity is doing the same. They as always with OpenAI is becoming the new vacuum cleaner of innovation. They whatever a significant competitor of them is coming up with, they copy it into ChatGPT, and and so Perplexity was first with this, like publishing search results to the open web, and with their Perplexity Spaces. And Anthropic was first with their document model that was copied into ChatGPT Canvas. And and that's not, it's not a bad thing they're doing. It's actually a really good way to listen to the market as well.
yeah, I think it makes sense. And I think actually, to Sam Altman's credit, he's pretty transparent about this and tries to communicate to the market that, hey, don't try to fix things that are small, because we're going to fix them. Assume we're
Yeah,
not, going to
yeah,
stand still. If you and I think that's why the framework that we talked about before is that if you as a startup, are happy
mm,
that a new model comes out, things become better, which we are actually at Multiply. We're super
mm,
happy whenever cloud computer use. I'm so excited about, yeah, there's a bunch of these things that we are like an O1 super excited about. But if you're not, like, if you're afraid for the next OpenAI Dev Day, that's probably a bad startup to pursue, and you should really
mm,
think about something. And on the topic of who wins, I
mm,
really think that any value will be have to be, I mean, tangential, or like can't be within the circle of what you can expect the foundation labs to do well,
mm.
and what needs to serve. um,
And so going back to the framing of where is the most value created in the AI space right now, we also have, of course, the foundational models that, which is what you're talking about now, which is actually where the source of value creation. And an example of that is how Perplexity now have uh, used. They have integrated the OpenAI model O1 Mini as a reasoning engine. So if you ask Perplexity something, or sorry, Perplexity Pro, if you're a pro user of Perplexity, if you ask it something that requires reasoning, like how many pineapples can I fit into a suitcase, or something like that, then O1 Mini will jump in and on top of the perplexity search results also provide a reasoning about those results to augment what Perplexity is providing with their own model.
yeah, I think that's and that's, I think, is a really good example. I mean, not the pineapples, that took it like one level up. uh,
Yeah,
is like a good example of that. We might call it generative search or AI
yeah,
powered search, but it's not just search.
mm,
It's or I mean, you could, I guess, if you say that the point of searching is getting an answer,
yeah,
to a question. Yeah, I guess you could say it's search, like a new type of search, or like it's still search. But like our mental frame of searching and finding different sources and foraging for that information and going deep into it and figuring out might not be the right, or is probably not the right frame of mind
mm,
for what this will actually look like. And I mean, that's, I think the Perplexity founder talks about that he's building an answer engine,
yeah,
not a search engine. I mean, of course, that's a little bit marketing, but it actually is like it has 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 some like real insight to it,
Mm.
in my view. But otherwise, then okay. So we look at if we look at so okay, search. I mean, because I think this is interesting. If you look at the previous monopolies, right? You have so let's go through them. Like
Mm.
we what we did was we went through the monopoly of Web 1.0, right? That's
Yeah.
Google. That they had one to many network effects. I like
Mm.
to say, which is that everyone could create a web page. Who won? Google, because they helped you find them in the best way, right? But you also have these other eras. So let's take the Web 2.0 era, which was Facebook was the winner, right? Which is now you can have you can post on Facebook, I can post on Facebook, we can both comment, same on
Yeah.
Instagram, etc., right?
Networks of people.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
many to many network
Mm.
effects,
Mm.
right? People to people. So Facebook won there. What do we? And of course, Facebook is heavily betting on AI, just as Google, right? But
Yeah.
what do we see there? Like, do you have any reflections on what do you think will they be disrupted? Will what they do significantly change? Do you have any? Have you thought about that at all? I actually haven't. So
Um, yeah. So um, the way AI is very subtly coming into social media is, of course, that we are sometimes asking ChatGPT, how do I reply to this post in a respectful way, or how do I achieve my communication target goal with in this complex situation where I find it difficult to navigate all the emotions going on, or whatever it is, like to bring. And that's sort of on the backside, we as humans, when we have someone to consult about even the most shameful of emotions in a neutral way, of course we take that up as an opportunity. So just to get help from ChatGPT on how to respond in social media or how to post, and then from there, like from that very humanistic way of using it as a communication body, to the more like automated bot-like posting that perhaps many companies are doing right now, where we like, which is also possible to do in a really deeply humanistic way if you do it correctly. But I think on Facebook's end, it's more about the content, like more and more of the content posted is going to be AI generated, both videos and images and text.
yeah, I think that makes sense. So I mean, so if you just look at people posting on social media, a lot more of what they post are going to be at least facilitated or empowered by AI, right?
Mm,
Video generation, image generation, text replying, right? So there's going to be an AI involved, right? And Facebook is betting there. Another thing that's more visible on X than on anywhere else, we talked about it a little bit, is bots being actual things to interact with on those networks,
yeah.
like agents being actual things to interact with. And I really see, agents with billion people followings or like
Mm.
100 million people followings, like AI influencers are gonna be a thing.
They,
So that those will
they
be
are a thing already, like the,
yeah,
the virtual influencers and the, yeah, definitely.
and also like the virtual girlfriends
Yeah.
and all of that stuff, right?
Mm,
I mean, someone is going to be a multimillionaire from being a AI fully AI generated like OnlyFans,
mm,
I'm sure,
mm,
etc. And like within every industry, within Substack, all of these things, you're going to have agents really taking a meaningful space in that. So that seems pretty clear. But if you look at the interaction model of Web 2.0 social media,
mm,
like how could we imagine that changing with AI? I mean, because we just said we like search will not only be Google implementing little AI generated and answered questions
mm,
in the search result. We're actually saying that hey, that what you actually expect now is a different type of search engine. You expect an answer engine,
yeah.
right? What would be the like? Let's
Well,
speculate on that for social media.
just like Google is locked into the search result where they, because they need to place ads there, Facebook is locked into the feed because they need to place ads there. they could provide a chat box where I can talk to an AI about what my friends are experiencing right now. I can ask like, do I know anyone out sailing right now? Or like you can have a conversation with an AI where you rag in all the content from hundreds of friends, and I can have a conversation with that where then I can interact with individual friends as the results pop up. And that's something that could be coming in a Facebook in the Facebook feed if they are able to put as many ads in there. But I actually don't think so, because if as soon as you can ask a very personal question to your social network, then you expect very relevant results back. And right now on like or lately on Facebook, I feel like the ratio of ads to actual friends content is something like 50-50, which would be unacceptable in a conversation with an AI.
That's interesting. I have another reflection as well, which is okay, so we already have like basically TikTok, winning the social media game and Facebook copying,
Mm,
with Reels basically serving you content without you having to scroll,
mm,
right? So knowing what you want. So there, AI has been super successful, right? And another logical step there is like that content doesn't necessarily need to be created by other people, right? It can even be generated on the spot, right?
mm,
If you take the perspective that actually people aren't on Instagram for social interaction, they're there for quick dopamine kicks and entertainment.
mm,
Um, so that's one way I could see it happening. Another way, in terms of, and this will be an innovator's dilemma for Facebook, I think, is that maybe finally, and I've seen a lot of startup pitches on this. I've even tried to build one myself earlier, if you remember Human,
mm,
um, is the fact that recommendations might come to the forefront. So instead of me being here and advertisers advertising to me,
mm,
I have AI finding things for me, knowing me. And a lot of that will be based on people that I trust or people that are trustworthy within this field, actually recommending something. So that could disrupt the whole like influencer thing where I follow people and they are paid by advertisers to market stuff to me. And instead, my recommendations comes because there's 100 people who bought this product and loves it and are not paid to do it
mm,
because they're not influencers. They
mm.
just have 100, 500, 1,000 followers each, just like any normal person. So I could see that whole like advertising model shifting in terms of social media. I could also see the content, like the content we consume, shifting. And I think I could also see just the way we like. I think you were onto that, and what you said was that like how social media lets us interact with our environment might be
Mm.
completely different. It could be like, hey, like shouldn't you write to these people today? You haven't been in touch for a while, and that's a very different thing than like thinking of who to write to. It's just like,
Mm.
hey, this person is doing this today. Like you haven't talked for a while. I think you'd be interested. Just like from a kind of what's happening today kind of thing. There's been a lot of apps there. Like,
Yeah.
what should I be doing today? Or what should I be reading? Or what should I be buying? Whatever that is. I feel like if the shift in search is from search to answers, then maybe the shift in social media is and in like advertising is from targeting, analyzing me, trying to push me things to like recommendations
Mm.
kind of coming. I'm not sure. There's something there. I can't put it as clearly as from search to answers, but there's something there that might actually be a disruption that for Facebook, whether they embrace it or not.
Yeah. Another like possibility with AI in social media, which is much more far out, perhaps, is if Facebook or another social media platform would implement this clone a human feature, where like if you remember the episode with where we had Rasmus from Klarna here, he talked about how one of their managers cloned himself so that people could talk to his clone when he was not available. or was he leaving the company?
He
I
was
don't know.
leaving, and
He was
the
leaving,
team
yeah.
did it.
So his team cloned him so they could talk to him while it was even when he was had left the company, and so if a social media network has enough information on me, I could allow it to clone myself so people could talk to me even when I'm not around, or I could ask my entire network a question, and get answers from an AI synthesizing the answers based off of personal information about people and their recorded opinions rather than actually talking to the person. And then the validation of that can come in hindsight, where the person like looks through the conversation and say, "Ah, I wouldn't say it like that and that would like put a RHLF spin on the entire model."
That's actually really interesting, and I think what you're saying actually disrupts Web 2.0 in that posting might become irrelevant. So let's just imagine I have my Meta Ray-Bans, or
Mm,
in 10 years in the future, my Magic Leap lenses or whatever. Not that they're
mm,
going to win, but, and this just takes pictures of everything I do and records everything I say, and then it can actually post for me.
yeah,
I don't actually have to post the social media post. It knows what to post and who to share it with. It knows that pictures of my daughter I would never post online, like publicly. So, but it knows that I love sending that to my friends and family. So all
yeah,
of a sudden, communication might become like passive in one sense, which probably has a lot of downstream kind of bad effects on like behavior if we like amputate, so to say, our ability to communicate,
mm,
just like we've sort of amputated our sense of direction with
mm,
Google Maps, which we talked about before. But that could really be like a completely different kind of internet.
yeah,
And probably Facebook are positioning themselves for that with all their like AR kind of uh, and cloning and all of that stuff that they've been
mm,
doing.
mm.
Let's see, can we fit in the PC era as well? We've done Web 1.0, Web 2.0, PC era, Microsoft one, right?
Yes,
Just simply because you have Excel, I have Excel, we can send each
mm.
other files. That's my analysis, at least one-to-one network effects. And of
Yes,
course, they then went into like with the internet, that became SaaS, right?
mm,
That became SaaS. So now you could do workflows together as humans
mm.
um, without sending files across. You're working on the same files.
Yeah.
What do you think will happen there?
Well, just as a parenthesis regarding SaaS, we have examples of that being disrupted by AI, again from Klarna, which are kicking out Salesforce and other large SaaS in favor of automating processes with AI instead. But and same for Microsoft and Windows and PCs, where computer use might like disrupt the way we use operating systems and just desktop apps in general. If I have an AI assistant that can capture all content, read books, restructure them, capture my conversations into documents and PowerPoint presentations for me, then why do I need Microsoft Office? Why do I need like anything else than just like a Chrome OS browser, perhaps, very very thin layer, thin client to a very fat AI backend.
Yeah, I think that's correct. I mean, the way I pitch Multiply actually on like a vision level is that we are in many ways like disrupting Microsoft long term, which is that I think that most, and SaaS more generally, like that I think most SaaS, which I'd count Microsoft as the king of, um, you know,
Mm,
is like going to be human agent workflows. So what SaaS was is just human workflows, human to human workflows, and those network effects, like Slack, right?
mm,
We use it in one team, then the next team uses it. We have network effects. Even across companies now, you can create shared channels, etc. Super useful. And of course, not all of those interfaces are needed anymore. Now, the old thing with the SaaS just being a UX on top of a database might actually be correct, because now the agents can, so to say, edit the database for you.
Directly. Yeah.
directly
Mm,
with computer use, or use existing SaaS tools. So you don't necessarily have to migrate if it's a good system of record and there's inertia in that within organizations.
mm,
And then I think, and that's our bet, that workflows become the big thing. Like, how do agents work with each other and work with people, and
mm,
people work with each other in the same interface together to get stuff done and
mm,
figure out the processes for how to get stuff done. And those are like, that's the key thing. That my bet is that, people are overestimating intelligence by itself and underestimating process and structure.
mm,
So the analogy I always do for investors is like, if you hire like 10 smart people to your company, you're not just going to
mm,
let them like do things and not tell them how you've like your processes and how you normally do things, because you've tried and tested that and figured out how to do it. So I
mm,
really think those are the network effects of the AI era, and someone will win this in terms of like having network effects that are human to agent.
mm,
And we think the essence of that is like data, which we talk about, the database, a flexible data graph with structure that both AI and people can understand. And secondly, workflows,
mm.
which is like how you actually get good results together, people and agents. And of course, what I said, the third thing is people and agents being able to use the same interface in a meaningful way.
And
Um,
with all of this, what we end up with is um, having a lot to do with the machines, handling the machines, which would leave a lot more time and energy for us humans to be human, and that's what I would love to talk about in a future episode. We talked about a lot about the tech, like how value in technology is captured for the in the future, and but what does it mean to be human in that uh, future where the machines are much more capable of taking care of themselves, and like to free up humans to be spending more time on relationships and genuine interactions with each other. That would be very very interesting to talk about as well,
I'd love to
as
do
the
that.
other side of this.
Yeah, let's do that next time or sometime soon. But
Yes,
anyhow, yeah, thanks a lot, Martin. I've got to go now, but it's been really fun. This is really good for me to just like be able to explore.
yes, thank you so much.